All right, if you're a developer and you've ever had to generate synthetic data, you know the pain, right? The endless YAML files, the command line guesswork, it can be a real headache. But what if? What if you could turn all that code-heavy chaos into a clean, visual, and totally transparent graph? Well, today we're diving into a tool that promises to do just that. It's called SyGRA Studio.
So let's just set the stage here. Think about the way we normally do this. You're deep in some config files, you're staring at a terminal, you're running commands, and just kind of hoping that all the different pieces are wired up correctly. It really is a black box. You have all this incredible power at your fingertips, but the process itself, it can be so opaque and, let's be honest, super frustrating.
And this slide just nails that contrast. On the left, that's the world many of us live in, juggling all those YAML files, working at a disconnected terminal. It's a mess. But on the right, that's the promise of SyGRA Studio, a clean, visual canvas, live previews so you see what you're doing, and everything managed from one single pane of glass. It's a totally different philosophy.
So how do we get from that chaos on the left to that clarity on the right? Well, let's meet the solution. This is SyGRA Studio, and it's an interactive environment that's really designed to make us rethink how we build these data pipelines from the ground up.
You know, I think the most important phrase here is visual craft. This isn't about hiding the complexity or dumbing it down, no way. It's about making that complexity manageable and intuitive. The whole goal is to make the entire process transparent, so you always know exactly what's happening under the hood.
So how does it do it? Well, it's all about bringing every critical piece of the workflow into one spot. You get these guided forms to build your logic, so no more guesswork. You connect your data sources, and boom, you get instant previews. You can debug, you can monitor everything. We're talking costs, latency, the whole shebang, all from this one visual canvas. Every single feature here is designed to solve a very common, very real frustration.
Okay, so that's the high-level pitch. Sounds great, right? But what does it actually look like to use it? Let's walk through a super simple workflow to see just how fast you can get from a basic idea to a real result. And it really just comes down to three main steps.
Yep, it's a simple three-part process. First, you hook up your data. Second, you build out your logic on the visual canvas. And third, you hit run and review the results. So let's break down what each of those steps actually looks like inside the studio.
First up, data. It's simple. You just point Studio to your Hugging Face dataset, maybe a local file. But here's the magic. Once you click Preview, the column names from your data, they automatically become variables that you can use everywhere else in your flow. Think about that. No more manual wiring, no more typos in your variable names. It just works.
Okay, now for step 2, building the actual flow. So you've got those variables ready to go. You literally just drag components, like an LLM node, right onto the canvas. And when you start writing your prompt, those data variables we just talked about, they're auto-suggested for you. Then you can just chain the output of one node directly into the input of the next. It's all visual, it's all connected.
And finally, step 3, we run it. You click Run, but you don't just get a file at the end and cross your fingers. No, you get to watch the entire pipeline execute, live. You see exactly which node is running, and you get real-time stats on your token usage, your cost, and your latency. That observability isn't some extra feature. It's baked right into the process from the start.
Okay, so a simple linear flow is one thing. That's pretty cool. But let's be real. Real-world data pipelines are messy. They've got loops, they've got conditionals, all sorts of complex logic. So the big question is, can a visual tool really handle that kind of complexity? That's the million-dollar question, right? Can it handle the tricky stuff? Let's put it to the test.
To answer that, we're going to look at a much more advanced example. This is the Glaive Code Assistant workflow. And this is the perfect test case because it is not linear. It generates an answer, then it has another LLM critique that answer, and then it loops through that whole revision process until the output is good enough. This is exactly the kind of conditional looping that's a nightmare to manage in code. And this is how Studio visualizes that complexity. You can literally see the conditional edge that creates the revision loop. You can tweak parameters like temperature or batch size on the fly without ever touching a config file. And as it's running, you can watch the nodes light up and actually inspect the intermediate critiques as they happen. It takes a highly complex process and makes it completely transparent.
So, what's the big takeaway here? What does all this add up to? Well, the ultimate payoff of shifting to this visual approach is one huge thing: full transparency into your entire data generation process.
So what's the real advantage for you? It means you build with confidence because you can see everything you're doing. Debugging is suddenly simple because you have that full observability. You can monitor your costs in real time, and here's a killer feature. You're not locked into the UI. Under the hood, Studio is generating standard SyGRA config files, so you get the best of both worlds: easy visual development and portable code-based artifacts you can use anywhere.
You know, this quote from the team behind SyGRA really just says it all, doesn't it? Configure once, build with confidence, run with full observability, generate the data without ever leaving the canvas. It's about creating this seamless, integrated, and totally transparent experience from start to finish.
And that really leaves us with one final exciting question. By making these powerful workflows so much more intuitive, we're lowering the barrier for everyone to create really high-quality data. So when data generation stops being a battle with code and actually becomes a visual craft, what amazing new things will you be able to create?